We are told that the committee that was set up to investigate the Movenpina-Zup oil contaminated fuel saga has described the involvement of the former management of BOST in the incident as criminal. In 2017, the BOST came under attack over decisions to sell 5 million liters of contaminated fuel to Movenpina. At the time, we were told about how quickly that company had just been registered or something like that. The company said to have been incorporated barely a month after it negotiated the deal with BOST and without National Petroleum Authority license. The committee also found out that thousands of liters in the tank locked by MPA could not be accounted for. Yes, Mutakilu.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good. This Movenpina thing, we raised these issues in May 2017. And we had called for dismissal of the MD, investigation to be done.
As for the MD, he got dismissed.
No, that was, President came and defended him in the State of the Nation's address.
Bottom line, he got dismissed.
By not praising, by not acting, by saying that rather they should set regulations. He confused it with what we call contaminated and slop, which are deposit. When a petroleum product state, there's a sediment that accumulates and come out. That one you dispose it, you sell it, and that is the process they do. But this one was purely contaminated. It has to take the new MD to set up a committee to investigate. And that tells you the inaction of the president. This shouldn't have taken long to do that. But the posture to ensure that the former MD actions were taken, it wasn't taken as expected. And about almost 2 years, today is May, 2 years later, we are still talking about Movenpina. Two was the manner in which the disposal was made. And it came back same as this, quad set up in April. And that's why I suspect it was set up purposely for this contract. Same way Movenpina was set up, if it was registered after the contract had been awarded. I think they were fast-tracking it, but they needed to fast-track it, so they carried out the transaction before registry, even though not breaching the law. But if you look at the nature of it, there is great suspicion of something going on.
You know, before we came to where I raised that issue, and I was suggesting to you that we may be a little hesitant in running to raise suspicions where there may not be cause for concern, particularly because we say a company has just been registered, and because the registration or incorporation is too short to a particular contract, then obviously there must be some wrongdoing. So that, and the example I gave again, if you were getting into a business with me and you needed my expertise and you wanted me to come in as a consultant of sort, and I said I needed equity stake, perhaps you would have almost sealed the deal, but because I need some equity stake, I may need to incorporate a company immediately so that we can together work. When that happens, there's no cause
let me come into this.
The suspicion.
You are right, but let's look at these indications. ExxonMobil, we know that there were many companies that were looking for to become local partners, including Griffin, including Guel, including others. How about Quad? Any other company. How about Movenpina? No any other company to wasn't competitive, even though the law requires, if it is contaminated, it should go through competitive bidding. It brings suspicion.
The circumstances.
The circumstances. The way and
so what should happen now that we are getting to know that they suggest that there was the involvement was, you know, criminal?
Yeah, I believe that is a report. It should be acted on.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
That is it. That is the report. Okay. It should be acted on. It can be challenged when taken to court.
Right.
and individual. And you have the right to challenge any allegation.
Thank you. Well, the CEO at the time who got sacked later also actually sued the CEO of the Petroleum Consumers Group, right, Duncan Amwa. Yes, so Kofi, what should happen? I think that's the question we should be asking. We knew that Duncan Amwa's group has submitted a petition to the special prosecutor. On the 1 year anniversary of the special prosecutor, what can we say?
So that, in fact, one of my notes is that this is one of the things that's disappointing about the office of the special prosecutor. This is why we all fought for them to be put in place. Some of these supposedly complex or huge situations. And honestly, this is not one of those complex situations. It is not. Yes, you are right. You cannot make a conclusive statement based on certain things, but the circumstances together lead to an irresistible, assumption. Now, the point is this: the petroleum sector is complex. Things there are massive and prone to certain things. Because of that, we have to be very, very careful. And honestly, I know some of the people working there, they are very hard working, they are doing a very good job. But still, these potentials are there. Now, in the particular point or case of this Movenpina-Zup oil or whatever it is, I think it is not difficult for an investigation, even within a year, to determine all the facts and for a good judge or whoever is the arbiter to come to a certain conclusion. So, again, why have we not been able to nail this, get over it, and move on? And I will go back to Parliament. You are our representatives, and when these things are delaying, somewhere down the line, call somebody and question the person. Okay, now, what has happened. If people have to pay, let them pay. But what have we done to make sure this won't happen again? Some of these contaminations and whatever find their way into our tanks, and all kinds of other collateral things can happen. So I worry about the state system. Check. There will be people paid to do this job, finish it, and give us a report. But nothing happens. It's been over a year, and it's been Duncan Amwa's fight. Okay? You leave it to individuals and at great risk to themselves. So my point is this. This is what IOCO is there for. The special prosecutor is there for. We have a whole security system and whatever it is. This shouldn't be too difficult to determine, deal with, and then move on, prevent it from happening in future.
Yes, Dr. Asai. So what we should be asking is really what should happen, because this came up so huge, everybody was talking, and eventually the government took some steps. There was a committee set up. It's not late, right?
It's not late, Samson, but what should be happening will depend on what is in the report. It will depend on the hardcore evidence that can support prosecution. I'm asking myself, were we able to come to a certain conclusion that can help the special prosecutor to take action on this matter? Be it as it may, we should not leave anything to chance.
Right.
I would have expected that by now, certain critical measures or steps would have been taken, if not prosecution. Though something is being done, but I want to agree with Kofi that I think on this occasion, the special prosecutor has failed us. But I cannot also entirely blame the special prosecutor because I do not have access to the report. So it's a chicken and egg situation. My point is, with the discovery of oil, and with what is happening in the oil sector, it tells us that we should strengthen state institutions. And we should clothe them with some independence to enable them to act. Because they are becoming too many. Things happen, investigations are conducted, reports are submitted, and that ends the matter. It is the average Ghanaian that loses. So I'm calling on state institutions to be biting. If the special prosecutor is having any difficulty in prosecution, he should come out and tell us. In any case, it is about time they publish a status report on their activities. The Act requires them to do that. We are waiting for them to publish it in newspaper so we can take them up on certain matters.
Interesting. Kuku, because of the uproar that greeted, this matter, should we be having a publication of the report so that we can all share in it, or it should just be left with security agencies and those who are supposed to take actions?
Well, in the name of transparency and accountability, I have no problem with the call for publication of the report. Yes, I would have no problem at all with it. It helps in the fight against such problems.
Yeah, that's what they said, that a total of 862,875 or so liters of the 5 million liters of contaminated fuel could not be accounted for. The committee admits that there must have been some evaporation. We heard about how things evaporated. Evaporation, but finds the volume loss of about 17.16% unusual. The committee is, however, unable to conclusively determine what the causes may be, but does not rule out the possibility of human interference and mismanagement. On the over 2.8 million contaminated fuel that was sold between 2014 and 2017, the committee found out that instructions were issued by BOST management for the release of products from the clean tanks for the purpose of cleaning the tanks. The committee found this very irregular and disturbing. The committee is of the opinion that clean products may have been deliberately downgraded and sold as slop or off-spec. The committee then notes that, quote, "This, we believe, borders on criminality and may have willfully led to a major loss to BOST and to the state in the form of petroleum taxes forgone," unquote.
Yeah, no. As I was saying, I am in full support of the call for publication of the report. I only got a copy of the report last night, and I've been going through it. Before I saw the report, something struck me. I was asking Mr. Duncan Amwa.
Yes.
I realized he was a member of this committee, the committee whose report we are talking about now. It struck me as quite interesting because I knew that he was part of those who were agitating for this matter to be dealt with, to the extent that, as you just reminded us, he petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Right.
So I was asking myself, well, why was he on the committee? Why was he on the committee? But then when I received the report and I went through the terms of reference, I also noticed that the committee's work was not exactly focused on the Movenpina thing. They went, it was a very global thing, you know, to ascertain, if you allow me, to ascertain the quantity and quality level of off-spec products available in BOST storage tanks at APD. I don't know what that means for. Accra Place Depot. It's explained here. Investigate and review existing BOST practices and prescribe a standard approach for disposing of spec products, citing the most acceptable industry practices. Then 3, undertake a technical and financial review and advise management on the optimal solution for the disposal of off-spec products. So it's a global thing. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, the committee also did a review of the scope and said they would look at the historical practices. So I think that's where this one came in. Yeah. It's still a tricky gray area.
There's a bit of a question of regulatory arbitrage, like they say, by NPA and so on. So I think they have clarified all of these points.
Yes, but come back to the report. When I was reading, there's a portion, the recommendations, and it struck me as quite interesting.
Yeah.
See,
Movenpina is actually supposed to pay 471,000 for the contaminated fuel, and the boss is saying that they wrote to them to pay up. It looks like they are written back and it's not favorable, and they will consider legal action against Movenpina.
Yes, and you see, the ministerial committee, you know, there was an earlier ministerial committee.
Right.
When I read this, reading this report, if you go to paragraph 11, it says the committee was advised by the NPA and the chairman of the ministerial committee that investigated the occurrence, that is, of this contaminated product, that's off-spec products, that recommendations in respect of this subsection had already been made in their report. The committee requested for the report through BOST management, but is yet to receive a copy. You get it?
Yeah.
That ministerial committee report, apparently they also arrived at some conclusions similar to this BOST subcommittee. And even the subcommittee itself could not access a copy of the ministerial committee report. I think that's not good for transparency. It's not good for accountability. That report too must also be made public, especially when you read the last point. It says, on the advice of the ministerial committee chairman and the MPA CEO, we recommend that boards reviews the recommendations in the ministerial committee report and augment them by recommendations in this report, particularly recommendations 7, 8, and 10. This we believe should culminate in a revised board standing operating manual for the management of off-spec products. So you can see a certain overlapping between the ministerial committee report and this report. Why do we hide such reports? It doesn't help. Okay, so now you are coming, we are being told, and you read something about it's from 2014 to 2017. Okay, make those reports public. Final point I make on this is remarkable that in spite of all the noise and the challenges and the deficits on the part of even the government itself, the Ministry of Energy and all the rest, we have a situation where at least a subcommittee set up by boards has come out with such findings. I think it's remarkable. It shows that our democracy is not really dead. There's an element.
Action.
Yes, action. Kofi, you are right. Because this will be useless if no action follows up. But I'm saying that it's remarkable. So it is not like,
Banana Republic.
yes, not exactly. In spite of all that,
Yes.
here we are. There's this report by a committee set up by boards that did not attempt to cover up anything. I think we should sometimes pick the positives, aggregate them into a critical mass, and push forward.
All right.